You look at Ray. His real name is Raphael. Raphael, after the archangel Raphael. Raphael is mentioned in the book of Enoch as an archangel of healing for humanity, an angel that draws people closer to God and helps people who are going through tough times. So he's an archangel of healing. That's what he is for people. That's what he is for the sport. He is his namesake. And he takes that namesake seriously.
You have to have a certain spirit in order to be able to compete and become a champion.
He's 69 and still in the same weight class when he was in college.
He eats, drinks, breathes wrestling.
I'd pay you money if you found another human that's as fit as he is right now.
My parents and my coaches always told me it's those quiet ones that are really the most devastating.
And he basically was able to do what very, very few people have done.
At 69 years old, most people finish wrestling at 24, 25.
If you're in the state of Ohio and you're wrestling for any meaningful amount of time, you know or have heard of or have seen Rae McDonald.
Yeah.
I've always believed that in order to be special, you need to be different. You need to train differently. You need to ask different questions. Rae altogether is one of the most different and individually focused individuals that I've ever met in my life.
This machine right here is actually invented in Russia. It was designed for cosmonauts on how to keep them healthy when they're up in space. And this is capable of kicking up 4 Gs of vibration. And I try to whip off 300 of these movements. I maintain a wrestling stance. Sometimes I close my eyes. You know, I can simulate with my eyes closed what this would be like shaking my opponent. Breaking the guy's tie up, 600 pounds of square inch pressure. Now obviously I can't close the bar all the way, but I can certainly pull an opponent's knees together on a shot. So we got the 5-second mark where I know where I'm at, and I'm off. Basically, I've never been able to do the 2-minute hang watching the clock. It's really a mental thing. And what you have to do is you have to put yourself somewhere else mentally. So at 2:05, I'll be done with the 5-second start. 4, 5, and there we are. It never gets easier. You know, I would like to believe I'm in the top 10 percentile of 69-year-olds, but I'm not settling for that. I'm going for the top 1 percentile, and I think there can only be one of them. So first I have to decide that I'm in the top 1% as the national champ coming up soon here in Vegas at the end of April in freestyle. And then I'll get a chance to make my claim as top 1 percentile in Warsaw, Poland for the Masters World Championships. So, putting it all on the line on behalf of all those that have been in my corner, and this is why I'm here today. And now we're here at the Grandmaster Lang's Pentagon secret base, and it's time to get popping.
So I didn't know Rae until I got to meet him out at Fargo when I was taking my daughter out there. The moment I went up to him, he gives you the bro handshake, even though I barely know him. And so it didn't take long talking with him that he felt like someone I've known my whole life. It was a bit audacious of me. I said, you gotta just come join our team. And I didn't know exactly what he would do, but I knew that Rae would be a positive force of energy and it could lead to really great things.
He hadn't wrestled for 30 years competitively. That gave Rae the resources and the opportunity to fulfill a lifelong dream.
This is training day 2 with me and Rae. But training day, I don't know how many thousand for Rae. Do the math. When did you start wrestling, Rae?
1969, so I think that was my sophomore year.
Oh, Rae was just a little skinny, little muscular kid. Not an ounce of fat on him, but you can tell he loved wrestling. He was special. He was a wrestler at Timken High School. He was in the school district. Didn't really promote wrestling. They promoted football and basketball.
The choice sport of most urban communities is football and basketball. Obviously, height in the basketball world is an asset, or speed and accuracy of your shooting, all of which I had none.
We wrestled together in high school. He was a year older, and we had this little small wrestling room off the side of the gym.
Now I remember. This was the room. After I got cut from basketball, they sent me in here, and this was the hottest room ever. Oh my God, I still remember it. When I first went out for wrestling, I hated it. The wrestlers were smelly, they were sweaty, they didn't like me. I didn't know anything. And here I am running from bullies outside the high school. Now I'm in a small room with bullies who don't like me for sure, because I'm an ex-basketball player that had been taunting them. So it was like I jumped literally out of the frying pan into the fire. While we were practicing basketball, the wrestlers would come in from this exit, and they would have a single file line, and they would come in here, and we would be cracking up from the gym floor, calling them stinky, and you guys, we like those tights. So when I showed up at their door, the captain of the team announced, looky here, Mr. Loudmouth is here. And Mr. Garfield just kind of let them put me through a form of hazing.
Wrestling is brutal. It's brutal.
This is a strong contact sport. You have to really have that desire in your heart to be able to go out on the mat, because you don't have anybody else to depend on. There's nobody else that you can blame once you get out on the mat. It's on you.
And you have to find ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, to subdue the will of another person. And that's not an easy thing to do.
I had to start from laying on my back, and I had to get off my back with the wrestler that was on top of me, which is a pinning combination. But by the end of 2 weeks and 1 day, no one could hold me on my back. The first year I was undefeated as a reserve team 112-pounder. I didn't make varsity till my junior year. And then my senior year, I became the 3rd state qualifier in the history of the school. So not bad for getting cut from basketball. Despise not small beginnings. This is where it started, getting put in the hole. And I started to like wrestling more because I was winning. When I got to RUDIS, Jesse started breaking down things for me, and we started putting the work in.
I can see you now with my red view. Woo. Touch one hand, me, man, I dare you. Woo. Leave no witnesses when I tear through. Woo. I got a few things that air you. Woo. Young and old, anybody can get it. Anybody who listens to intercoms and attendance, get them gone, let them know this is more than a scrimmage. Something big coming, this ain't no regular business up. Who gon' stop the mission? It's more than optimism, my ups can get it. I'm talking Dr. Fitness to stop the witness.
When Jesse assessed me, he indicated to me that I had very good mobility and motion for my age bracket. That would probably be my ace card, but I was going to have to evolve to where the hand fighting and the stance of motion has developed at the collegiate level. The athletes that are still competing are doing stuff that's light years away from what you did back in the 70s. The workouts were tough. Right when I think I would hit the wall, he would get one more rep out of me, one more shot. It took me through an entire cycle of, do I really want to do this? Am I really prepared to do this? What was I thinking? But he always assuring me that I had a special warrior's mentality that you couldn't buy, and that's going to be the ace card that gets me through along with my faith. My career at Mount Union, I started off with the pen. I went undefeated. I had 16 pins. I had the most pins in a season. I became the second conference champ as a freshman, and I got a standing ovation. And I can distinctly remember how embarrassed I was, but I remember that it felt really good.
As we got older, you know, everybody was saying, well, where's Rae, man? Where's Rae? Where'd Rae? Well, he went to Mount Union. Oh, okay, I'm going over to Mount to watch him. They became fans.
Well, Mount Union was a great educational institution. When you walk into the room, man, there's some expectation there. You know that you're gonna, have to give everything you got. And Rae was just a big part of that, man. He's part of that aura when you walk into the room that, gotta represent, baby, gotta represent.
We just had a lot of fun. We used to beat each other up in the room, so it was really competitive. And Rae was basically the starter for our team.
I went to Mount Union from 1971 to 1975. I was four-time conference champ, first time at the same weight class, first MVP of the OAC tournament in the history of the school, first All-American in the history of the conference, the Ohio Athletic Conference, first two-time All-American in the history of the Ohio Athletic Conference. I was recognized twice as the most outstanding athletes of America. I was MVP of the team twice, and I became the first wrestler inducted into the Mount Union Athletic Hall of Fame in 1992.
I think most wrestlers go on the mat, and in the back of their mind, there's always that possibility that there is an injury that could come. We've all been injured, but it all depends on how you take the injury.
So the last match that I actually wrestled, it was more of a dare. One of my favorite guys says, "Why don't you wrestle? Come on, go with us, go with us." And I was like, no. Oh, come on, coach, come on. Now you're getting under my skin with it. All right, I'm going. I go to this tournament. Now I'm in the finals. Somewhere in the course of the match, toward the end, he did something offensively, and I had the perfect counter that I had used for years. As I was going to re-drag his elbow to come up on top, he decided to go cross-body, which my ankle was posted and he rolled it. To this day, I cannot watch the video because it sounds like a rifle shot. And Coach Hunter helped me over to the doctor, the attending physician at the tournament, and he informed me that had I wrestled another minute, that I would have had to have major surgery. So I left and I missed 2 weeks of work. Needless to say, My family was not happy with me, and I decided that it was time to call it a day wrestling competitively. So after my wrestling injury, I focused primarily on coaching kids, doing everything that I could do to help them develop. And that was my passion for 40 plus years.
If you can go into wrestling and stay in the sport for a long time, like we have, you know, it's only because you really, really care about this sport, but it's because you really care about people.
Because of the relationships that he has with people, that kind of fuels him to be the man that he is right now.
After being a coach and a teacher at Lake High School, among other things, what's the next level? What's next for him?
I kind of saw a burning leading up to this. There was a little bit of fire left.
Obviously, during the COVID period, our state team qualifiers got canceled. Our national qualifiers at Mount Union got canceled. I mean, I really have never felt more useless in my lifetime than during that period. I just happened to be randomly checking tournaments and events, and I saw the Masters World Championships, which I had never even heard of. Since I'd never been out of the country, I thought, well, wow, this is an opportunity to go for a world title, and this is an age group, and so all the circumstances were in place.
One of the things I know it irked Rae and it eluded him was that national championship. And I know that's something that was down in here, man. I know it's something that it had to keep motivating him and motivating him and motivating him.
Even though he maybe hasn't been competing, you know, throughout, you know, every single year, he's been training. I've seen it. He's been training.
One of my former competitors, Gil Donahue, he was telling me jokingly, but also very serious, like, man, you could win the national title coming off the couch. And of course, I liked hearing that, but in the back of my mind, I started thinking, well, is that true? Maybe I need to find out.
The test market was what could we do at the Nationals in Las Vegas.
When I got out to the U.S. Open, a lot of negative thoughts started to set in on me. I really didn't know how to warm up because I hadn't warmed up in so long with a partner. And so I'm watching all the activity, all the different age groups, all the defending champions, and I was starting to feel very insecure.
Rae was very nervous, too, by the way. I mean, he was probably moving a little more than he normally does.
Now, from having conversations with Rae while he was out there, I knew he was a little bit concerned about his next opponent. I believe the guy was a returning champ.
This Iranian-American was going to be there, and everybody knows him. I mean, wrestled in Iran all of his young life, was a top wrestler.
What was conveniently left out of my strategy was knowing the full achievements of Shahzad Ahmadi.
I was standing next to the women's coach, USA coach, and I heard several other people talking about they were there to watch this guy wrestle.
I realized, okay, it's on now.
McDonald! Right here.
When the whistle blew, I instinctively went into the things that I did as a collegiate. I could hear Grandmaster Jesse Lang's voice in my ear, keep moving, keep your motion, keep your level changes.
It was a lot of stance and motion, a lot of in and out, explosive movements.
It's your worst nightmare, the ones that won't tie up with you and can pick you off. And I could see that it was frustrating my opponent. And once I learned how fast he was, I was able to target him and basically pick him off at will.
Don't ever forget Rae's speed.
He hit his patented blast double.
Lock it up, lock your head.
I had got a feet to back. I was up 4-0. I got a quick turn. Now I'm up 6-0. he started being a little tricky in his bottom positions. He actually caught me a couple times where I was able to adjust, probably just because I was a little younger or the fear of failure kicked in and gave me that extra burst that I needed. And actually, I hurt myself off the first shot, the top of my head. I really cracked. It must have been his jawbone, but as soon as I felt his balance breaking, the pain went away magically.
But once he got going, he felt very comfortable.
At first, it was surreal in the sense that I was somehow watching myself do the moves, and then I was come into my body and finish the action.
The way the guy fell in that first match, I knew it was over. I knew that guy didn't want to be out there with him.
But by the time I tech-fought him, it was still the first period, and then I knew that I had arrived, basically.
People in the know, you know, that were there specifically to see this champion, just saw another champion at work.
I found out that he was a 4-time Iranian national champ at the college level. He was 26-time veteran national champ. He was World Military Games gold medalist, and he was a 16 times veteran Masters world champion. So had I known that prior to the match, I'm certain that I would have wrestled him differently. I believe what that says about competition is it actually is 80% mental.
After he got through that, I think the only thing we had to be concerned with was how many times he was gonna penetrate on that power double leg. Word had gotten around, you know, here's Rae McDonald. This guy looks pretty good. So there were a number of people converging on the matches. It was only one match that made it to the second period.
He gave me a little bit of resistance right off the bat. But once I got my targeting, he was a sitting duck.
I mean, it was attack, attack, attack.
I actually went out with the same expectations that he wouldn't be able to deal with my speed. And I would have tech-fought him. I actually was winning 9-0. I wasn't able to get a turn right at the buzzer. So when I came off the mat, Coach B said, hey, get him right at the buzzer. So as soon as the whistle blew, I shot another blast double and ended tech-fought him. So that was a good start on the run for the world competition. After winning the national title, something that was a dream for, wow, 40+ years, maybe 50 years. It just really felt good to know that I was #1. I wasn't sure if that was #1 for how long, but that day I was #1, and that's really all that counted at that moment.
Man, it was just a chance for him to go out and just prove one time for himself, you know, that he had it, you know, that he had it.
When he won the US Open, I thought there's no way there's another guy on the planet that can move like him. And then knowing now that his body can withstand competition, I knew it was a wrap.
JB was there, Jordan Burroughs, and he was there to help me celebrate and give me the background of how I should be feeling. He put it in perspective for me, and I was grateful for that. He liked that I had the blast double. I think he really liked that I had represented in his liberties. I was like an ancient version of the new JB, old school style.
When you're out there, you're controlling yourself. You're really focused on that. You're focused on, I'm in position, I'm moving, I'm in my stance, and I'm looking to score. And then if the score's there, yes, you obviously take it. But if you're in like a gas pedal mindset, that's where you come out of your stance. The first 30 seconds is not indicative of the whole match. Because today, I thought you actually did a great job at coming in slow, and I think that's okay. Then ramp up the intensity. I think that's good for today, actually. Thank you. This guy's the man.
Grandmaster Lang. My seafood, baby. Best in the world. Three minutes. Ice tub. First time doing it. Here we go. When I got to Mount Union, it was a winning program. The first match, first home match, I'm in awe of the surroundings, and I'm going through the motions, warming up, and I look up in the stands, and I notice that my mom and dad are sitting at opposite ends of the gym. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Well, I knew that they were going through marital problems. And that broke my heart gradually. But that particular day, I think I grew up. Just in the heat of the moment, I stopped my warm-up to the chagrin of my teammates, and I motioned for my parents to come hither. Reluctantly, they came over, and I said, hey, I'm representing the family name, and you guys are not gonna sit at opposite ends of the gym. If that's how it's gonna be, I'll pack my bags and leave promptly. What's it gonna be? And my mom was crying and dad was trying to play it off, but they made an agreement that they would stand down from any pending divorce action. So from that moment on, that became the carrot in front of me to keep them together. That was it. I was winning for their survival. Feel marvelous. I feel like a black popsicle. Yeah, it ain't so bad. Yeah. As I did my homework on my query to find out where the world championships were being held, the new worlds are gonna be in Poland, I told Jesse, well, this is D-Day. I have my marching orders. I don't know if I'm ready for what's entailed there, but I'm ready to man up and find out. All right, we're here at the official weigh-ins. 6 o'clock, start doing the thing. Arriving in Poland and, going through the weigh-in process where everybody's looking at everybody, and I found myself trying to see who was my size and sneak over and check their weight while they were on the scales. I mean, I went into covert mode that I didn't know existed. It seemed like my weight class was probably one of the smaller ones because I don't think many grown men can stay at 136 pounds their whole life. I had a tremendous anxiety. I felt like everybody was looking at me, and they were, because I was the only black guy there. So I accepted that.
Here's the only African-American in the tournament. Here's the only African-American in the building. And Rae knows he's representing that as well. He's representing his Lord, he's representing his country.
I think some of the South Africans kind of made light of it. One of them came up and made me identify myself like he was my dad. And I just heard the tone in his voice like he was just talking down to me. I shook it off, but I identified myself. So now his teammate knew that I was the guy because I didn't wear any name stuff. You know, I tried to keep my hood up and be as obscure as possible. The actual day of the freestyle, the same guy came by and I had my Jesus shirt on, which I always wear. And he just kind of snickered like, ha, Jesus, man. And I don't know, I went from lamb to lion in that moment. You know, my first time being out of the country, there were so many mixed emotions and things to ponder, things to think about. So we were on foot downtown Warsaw. I accidentally stepped on a manhole cover. It immediately collapsed. I felt my foot going down into this hole, gone all the way up to my knee in terms of the depth. And it was actually the same ankle that I had broken. Years later, like, oh, that's that same ankle. I felt a little bit of a scare. I felt like, oh, okay. And I started walking and I didn't really feel much. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, whoa, wow, I dodged a bullet, thank you, Lord. Well, when I got back to the room, sure enough, it had swelled up just a taste, was kind of stiff, and I wasn't gonna be as mobile as I was at Vegas. The day of the actual tournament, they're starting to call weight classes out, and you know it's on and popping. Even though I had the anxieties, the Lord put me in the domain where I was most comfortable because I wouldn't warm up with where all the other athletes were. I stayed on this partition side, which was set up for the youth. So I went over and basically gave them a pound, which they all knew that. They didn't know any English, but they knew the fist bump. And we had some RUDIS trinkets and little gifts and stuff that we actually handed out to them. And man, after that, it helped me relax because that was the element that I needed to be in, coaching element. And so when it was time to compete, I was a different creature.
Zapraszam do stolika speakera. Sędziowie zapraszani są do stolika speakera.
Right before it was time to go out, the eventual finalist opponent that I would have had just dislocated the arm of his opponent in the round robin, like a minute into the match.
I happened to stand there and use my phone and tape the South African against the other American in the previous match leading up to their match. And this guy was good. He was strong. And he took the guy's arm in an unnatural way and just cranked it.
And for 3 minutes, this guy screamed at the top of his lungs. It was really disconcerting.
The guy ended up defaulting, couldn't come back out again.
And he looked over at me like as if to say, yeah, you're next. I have to admit, I felt like I shrunk, and I was like a little kid looking up at him, and I started to hyperventilate ever so slightly. And I know that if you're being watched, an experienced coach can say, hey, he's nervous or he's having second thoughts.
The South African guy pulled his shoulder out, and he's unable to perform. So Rae will have the gentleman from South Africa in the next round. So Rae gets into this match with the South African guy. Again, built well, he was quick. The South Africans were actually very good. They had a very, very strong team. They won several titles.
He looked like a Jurassic Park raptor. He was 3 years younger than me. I could see that on the brackets. He looked like he was all there at our weight class, and he's the world Greco champ. I felt a surge of anxiety, wondering again, like, man, is my ankle ready? Did I do too much? My weight cut wasn't bad, but did I eat the right things? I'm just thinking all these negative things. Subconsciously, it seemed like I was trying to find a reason to not win a world title. And then the spiritual part of me kicked in, thanking the Lord for the opportunity, thanking the Lord for his strength, praising him. And whatever I chanted in my mind, all that anxiety went away. And then I remembered, yeah, this is personal. You're the ones that laughed at my Jesus shirt. The Bible says, the harvest is great, the laborers are few. Many are called, but few are chosen. Wrestling's the only sport mentioned in the Bible, mentioned twice, so I have to believe in the greatest imagination that we're chosen. We all have the spirit of David in us. When we're on the mat, we're all Lions of Judah. But I think ultimately it's our message. What did the winner have to say in his moment of glory?
Here we go, Ray. The whistle blows, and I got that first blast double, feet to back, 4-0. I don't think he understood the kind of speed that I brought to the table as the way he went feet to back. The second shot I took, I was a little bit too far out. He was able, as a Greco man, to catch an underhook and kind of pancake me, but I was just such a panic. When I realized I was on my back, I rolled through and came back out the back door and back on top. But now it's 4-2. I'm a little anxious about what happened on that. You know, that something changed. My shot's not working. We circle around, we're circling around. He's trying to slow me down so he can tie me up. I drop again. I'm still just a little bit far out, but I get in on his legs. Grandmaster Lang told me to do is, once you hit on your shot, keep driving on your knees, keep driving. So I drove him to his butt on the out of bounds. All the way, Ray, all the way. Push it through, all the way. There you go. There you go.
And I was looking for 2 points. I only got a push-out point on it. So I clearly, in my mind, had worked too hard for that push-out. At that point, I'm up 5-2, and I'm tired. I know I'm like half depleted. So I felt like I was burning into my reserves coming off of that series. So the next scramble, I felt like the rabbit being chased by the bull. He was doing everything he could do to slow me down.
Circle. Break it, Ray. Come on, Ray. Circle the middle. Come on, Ray.
I knew a lot of thought went into the match, a lot of tactical things that people don't see if they don't study. Timing was pertinent.
And I maneuvered around using stance and motion. And this time, I did one of my Inspector Gadget moves. I started playing with my headgear, and as he was walking to me, I level changed, did another blast double.
Ray was dominating, Ray was confident. Ray was praising his Lord.
I didn't try to turn him on top. He was just too strong on the bottom. Like, I felt like I had nothing coming on top, so I needed to conserve my energy. Ref puts us back up. I'm leading 9-2, still in the first period. We start again. I look over at Coach B, and I know I had to face. He had a moment of concern, but he also was saying, keep setting up, keep moving. Well, I was out of gas. I know I was. So just as we set to go again, the ref blew his whistle, then he blew it again.
Timeout, timeout, timeout. He needed an injury timeout.
Johan Visser's head was bleeding from that last collision that we had.
It's kind of funny, there's a bit of irony here. Here's two near 70-year-old guys still highly competitive enough where they're willing to do anything. I mean, they'll hurt you to win that match. He ended up like cutting his head open.
So I got a blessed blood time for about 2 minutes while they, wrapped him up. And Coach B was basically saying, okay, we need to get off the mat now. We've been out there long enough with this guy, let's get it done. We reset. Now Visser's pissed off. He's coming in low. He's clearly cutting off my shots, and he's lunging at me so that I would be forced to hold him off so he could tie me up and throw me. Again, I did a level change, and I shot again, and this time I realized I was too far out. He caught me with that same underhook that he had turned me with, but somehow I was able to lower my level and, I don't know, kind of get wide, and as he was going back, and I was able to float from one side of his body to the other side, and when we landed, I had the angle. He rolled the opposite way without what he thought he was gonna have, and then we rolled back. I had a reverse half, and I knew it was gonna be over right there. And the referee signaled that I had a tech fall, and the match was over at 13-2 with probably about 35 seconds left in the first period.
It was honestly one of the best feelings I've ever had. It goes right to your heart because we went there on a mission to accomplish something, and we did. Those were our Olympics.
When I found out he won, it was like just a culmination of everything that he stood for and deservedly so accomplished.
Whew. I get like goosebumps, man. When I think about it, man, it makes me emotional, I ain't a real emotional guy, but nobody deserved it more than Rae, man. He been down here doing God's work all these years, man. And God shined down on him, man. God shined down on him.
He's such an icon to so many people because he's a walking example of what happens when you dedicate your life to something.
I was hollering. My wife thought that something was wrong with me. I was down in the man cave. I got a serious man cave. So my wife she won't let me go upstairs. And I was yelling, that's my man, Rae, da 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 da. And my wife's like, who are you talking to? Nobody, I'm talking to myself.
I don't know, I think it was 62-2, the final score of all the competition that he wrestled against. That's just incredible.
Well done. Well done. Yeah.
Feels great. All glory to God. He told me he'd be there for me. I believed him. And he made it happen. Can't take the credit. I'll just tell you the Lord is faithful. He guided me every step of the way. He made me keep my poise. And he gave me the strength to step up and get the job done. God bless everybody. God bless America.
Through it all, I realized the Lord had blessed my efforts for his purpose because the youth wrestlers that clamored around me, if I was the first Black American that they ever saw firsthand that loved Jesus, that was really what the mission was about. And that was an accomplished mission, and whatever else transpired after that was just icing on the cake because that's what I was there for.
Everywhere I go, I'm not surprised, but I always smile. When I see Rae, or I bring up Rae's name, or I'm in a place with Rae, Rae's got a friend. Rae's got more than one friend.
Rae was always the kind of guy, he's so cordial with pretty much everybody. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like Rae.
I would say I'll always love him, and love him for the fact he's putting back into wrestling like I have, like Bobby Douglas has, like a lot of coaches have. You know, take a little bit from the sport, but put a lot back into it. You know, I've seen him at a wrestling tournament and see a little kid come off the mat crying. I've seen Rae go over and put his arm around the kid.
I don't know anybody else that's ever been as dedicated or as intentional about his influence on people.
Was always in everyone's corner at every tournament with the rub down, with the water, with the protein shakes. So just seeing his level of care, his level of attention to detail to make sure that every guy gets taken care of.
Rae had a calming effect on guys. He just puts his hands on you and you feel like, everything's gonna be okay. I can't explain what it felt like, but like I said, I always felt like I could never lose with Rae in my corner.
He basically will inspire you to do your best, and he will do anything to help you to make sure that you can get there.
Rae is like an Apostle Paul to the sport of wrestling, spreading the good news of everything good, noble, and honorable about the sport, and all that entails.
I love you, bro. But he knows that. You see what I'm saying? He knows that.
All right, Rae, world champion. What's next?
Let's do it again.